Hey guys, today I'm looking at Doom, the original, the classic, not the 2016 one. Man, what is there to say about this game? It's funny that going back to play Wolfenstein 3D and then shifting to this, I can see why this was the game that took off and not Wolfenstein. Because Wolfenstein had a weird... Honestly, you should play it just to see the weird perspective changes, how the environment moves around your character isn't how you'd anticipated. And really, this is the early days of 3D, where you're trying to trick the player's mind into thinking you're in a 3D environment, when really it's still kind of 2D. And so... what I think what makes Doom, the original, so iconic is the flow of the character himself, the movement, the head bob, the sound effects, the enemies, like everything about this game is just made super, super well and super, super fun. And it just works, it just comes all together and makes this really great game that, despite it being so old, is still very much... I don't know, alive today. And I can understand now, truly, while going back here, how people felt a little bit betrayed, I suppose, in the 90s, how the FPS landscape has changed. Because as technically the first real successful commercial FPS, a big component of its gameplay is the speed. And that would go on into their later work with Quake, essentially. But Doom was kind of seen as the go-to shooter, and one of the reasons for that was because of the speed at which the gameplay, the fact that you're not just shooting guys from behind cover mindlessly, but you're actually flying through the level, and it's something that's a different approach to FPS design, which honestly just makes a lot of sense. And also the setting too, with the aliens on Mars, is a really cool thing. I also love this game. Really does not have a strong story, and it doesn't really need it just because the gameplay can hold it up. But the one aspect of the story they do have in this original thing is the fact that Doom Guy has this little rabbit called Daisy, and originally when this game ends, it kind of has a "the end?" question mark where it shows Earth is under attack, and that's Doom 2, which is Hell on Earth. But in this game itself, it shows in that cutscene this rendering of this rabbit's head that's been decapitated and put on a pike. And it's just this gruesome, over-the-top kind of weird, funny thing to put up. Oh, look how evil they are. And for Doom, basically, the kind of lore that they created was that rabbit was not just any random rabbit. It was actually Daisy, which was Doom Guy's pet rabbit. And so it's even like evolved into the lore where Doom Eternal in the ship, I think it has a picture of Doom Guy with the rabbit sitting in his hand or something. So it's interesting to see how the franchise has, kind of played with its own lore and its own things and kind of aggrandized itself. It's just really interesting how they've leaned into that and to the kind of meme lore culture around the game, while not being super, dependent and uncreative and on that meme culture, so to speak. But yeah, no, Doom. There's also a bunch of Doom WODs. I think the most recent one, or the most famous one rather, is Brutal Doom, where it adds a lot more gore, as the name implies, but also new kind of modern gameplay mechanics. So you can play a classic style or a new style, which essentially means you just reload. Essentially, you have brand new weapons that essentially, do specific enemy damage. It feels like a proper Doom sequel, and you really think about it, like a lot of the influence of Doom is that certain games like Quake, or even I think the origins of Half-Life and whatever, had their roots in people wanting to mod this game or make their own version of it. And that led to things like Half-Life and all these other games, and eventually, shooters like, Team Fortress and eventually Overwatch and all that stuff. And so, the kind of WODs that exist for this game could be entire games on themselves. Brutal Doom, absolutely. It feels like a proper Doom sequel. And again, what I love about these old games is that they focus on the movement, not just on the gunplay, essentially. What I also love about classic Doom is also you have this little face at the bottom of the screen that's always looking around, and will change depending on how much health you have and what mode you're in, and so on and so on. And so yeah, this pioneered a lot of things. You have your normal health, and you get your med packs, and if you get up to max health, You can basically get these little vials or potions, which give you more than max health, which is really cool. You still have armor, and of course you can pick up armor shards and get over max armor if you already have the main components that you've picked up. And again, the final boss in this game is nothing really spectacular. It's just basically a giant kind of boss royale with the spider demon that was going to, you know, invade Earth and all that stuff. And a bunch of barons of hell that you have to also fight on the way there. Another thing that this game also introduced that I forgot to mention was secrets. So this was a really cool thing where you would have a certain wall that would look out of place or whatever, and you tap on it and it would reveal a secret entrance. And every level had a secret and actually graded you on how many secrets you found. So that was a really great incentive to players to find all these little things and Easter eggs that the developers had planted in the game for the player. And so some of the pickups could be, you know, the rocket launcher or early items or invisibility, invincibility, stuff like that. Another thing that Doom also established is the fact that in order to get through certain areas, you would need to find keys. And so level design was built around the fact that, you know, you'd have a series of locked doors and you needed to basically, you know, find the keys to essentially unlock them. And you have the color coded, you know, effects of, you know, red, blue, and yellow. And basically those were the main ways that you kind of got around and explored the environment and discovered things. So there's a lot of elements going on here, even though Doom is a very kind of simple game. You have elements of combat, obviously, but also has elements of exploration and puzzle solving. Well, not really puzzle solving, but kind of like exploration via puzzle solving, really. And again, the fast-paced nature of the game is just so iconic and so, I know, beloved by so many people. I think another thing that really helps Doom is also the sound effects. I can literally hear the sound of a door opening and closing in this game. Like the Doom door is a very iconic sound. Also his grunts when you, like, you know, try to activate something on the wall. Everything about this game is just made with a lot of care and attention to detail and just really well done overall. And again, despite it being so old, it has so many different WADs and mods for it that, you know, there's almost endless possibilities with this game. And, you know, I can't imagine being around when this game came out, because I think they were shipping it out on like CD discs out of like their office or something in California. It was very, very sketch and kind of like off the wall, trying to figure out exactly how this all worked. It's very, very, very interesting. Also, I remember that Doom, I guess, historically is kind of been also one of the major punching bags by the media, saying, oh, look at this violent video game. This is what turning kids into, you know, violent serial killers. So there's been a lot of things that have been lauded at Doom for, you know, being the source of a lot of, you know, violence and shootings and unexplained things in society, obviously. I mean, it's about killing demons, but whatever. And I think actually Columbine at some point was, they blamed the kids not on their own actions, but the fact that they played Doom, which you know, is kind of that checks out for the track record of the quality of media versus video game we typically tend to get. And so, of course, gore was like not a huge thing back in the time with video games. And so, you know, for this game to have this amount of gore, it was considered to be kind of revolutionary or kind of a new thing, frankly. And now we don't really think anything of it, but this was considered graphic content for its time. Anyway, there's not much else to say about the game. It's just an absolute classic, the basis and standing stone of a long legacy of first-person shooters to come after it. And it's still good today, so I definitely give it a shot. Anyway, guys, I will see you later. Bye.